It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and with me, of course, as always, is Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. How you doing, Shawn?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
And over in Connecticut, I got Muffler Mike. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, Gary.
Excellent. What a week, man. We had the Unbox series start. We've had some wild games going on in the NLL. We've got the PLL tournament. We got ALL stuff for you. Got all kinds of things. Stick with us. But before
There's
we
still
do
a wild game going on right now.
As we speak, yes. Don't turn away from us. We'll let you know what's happening, okay? Just before we get rolling, just want to remind everybody this part of our show is brought to you by Dolan's.
All right, guys, when you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, make sure to go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Avenue at Ridley Park. Right off of I-95, south of Philadelphia Airport, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. Great music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, great drinks, and even better food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through the door. You got to go to Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave at Ridley Park. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll see you there for the game.
And Eduardo is with us as well, and he's coming to you from St. Augustine, Florida. Next week, San Juan, Puerto Rico on a business trip. He's trying to get cooler, eh, guys? He's trying to get cooler climate. Yeah. So we're going to go over to Puerto Rico. Nice. Well, I'll meet you some point there because, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be, at this time of the night, I'll probably be heading back from San Diego. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Just before we get rolling, just a reminder to everybody that all the shows are streamed across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can catch all the action on EOPsports.com. Remember, hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. As you can see, we got many shows for many things for many people. Please take a look at all of our affiliates. Please check them out daily. We got stuff every day of the week. If you've missed a show, no worries. Grab all the podcasts on all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and so much more. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you're looking for any of the shows, you can find it on the YouTube page for EOP Sports. Or if you're looking for our show in particular, you can catch our entire library at All Across All the Time on YouTube, where you'll also find interviews. You will find fights, you will find press conferences, you will find many retro games, and a lot more to come. So please give it a look, give it a follow. Please subscribe, and please tell your friends about it. All right, guys. I want to start the show off this week, and I want to thank somebody. Originally from New West, now living in Japan with his friends, or with his family, I'm sorry. Travis Taylor is a coach and an author. And he sent me off these couple of books. I'm about halfway through the Modern Medicine Game. It's a fantastic read. Greg Horn did the foreword to it. It is dealing with the 2010 debacle in which the Iroquois team could not play because England not accepting their passports and all the stuff to do with the U.S. and Canada and all the other things. A great way to drop the ball by everybody. And he was the coach of the Dutch national team at that time, hence his book of Coaching Lacrosse, Becoming a Player's Coach. So I'm looking forward to reading that as well. But just if it's anything like the first one, man, it's a fantastic read, a quick read, and really, really insightful into his take on everything. So you can find those books on Amazon if you're looking for them. Travis Taylor is the author. I picked out my next retro jersey again, and I went with the Arizona Sting. I apparently have more on the way. I'm hoping that they arrive this coming weekend, which would be awesome. But we'll see. We'll see. It is Indigenous Day at the Rock game on Saturday night. So if you have an opportunity to be anywhere near First Ontario Centre in Hamilton, by all means, please grab a pair of tickets and head yourself down. It'll be a great old time. Vancouver is in town, and it should be an exciting night. A couple little bits of news. St. Catharines has been named the 2025 Minto Cup spot over at the Meridian Center, which is terrific. It's been a while since it's been there. That'll be a great place. Hotbed for lacrosse. Had one of their former players on my Thursday show, of course, Hall of Famer Pat McCready, and he's been on this show also a time or two, and exciting. It was wonderful to talk to him, and he was actually in California at the time because his daughter had a tournament, and he took the time out of sunning himself on the beach to talk with us. So I want to thank Pat again. A fantastic guy and a great lacrosse guy. Don't forget that this year's Minto Cup will be in Coquitlam. The Adenacks are going to host that. Now, I mentioned, guys, the Unboxed series, and it was over at the Center Bell in Laval. Place Bell, whatever. But decent crowd, man. Look at that, eh? Almost 7,000. Not bad when you don't have a horse in the race, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I think the league has taken notice of that. And I'm fairly certain that you will see, excuse me, a franchise in there, whether it's a relocation or an expansion. I just have a feeling that Panther City is one of those teams that are going to be up and awaying because Come As Your Favorite Empty Chair Night is getting old. And they're trying everything, man. They're trying to shoot angles that don't get seats in there. So they are limited to how many cameras they can use because you can't go to the end boards and you can't go to the other side because, again, you'll see a lot of empty seats. So they keep trying to shoot low on the glass and keep it that way. And still, you can tell. Albany seems to be getting a little bit better of a crowd, but it still looks sparse to me. So, we'll see. We'll see. Like I was talking to Shawn off air, if they do put one in Laval, then they can go after Quebec City next and really bolster out the East to give Halifax some rivalries. Because what's happening is Quebec is kind of like Hamilton and Toronto. It's the little brother syndrome. It's not a slag on anybody or anything, but Quebec won't do anything on their own. But if Montreal gets a team, they want a team to show that they're better. And it's a natural thing with a smaller place. And it will work. And that's the Montreal-Quebec hockey rivalry of the 80s. I still love watching those retro games and those playoff games because they're insane. The hate between the teams and the fans are unbelievable, and the rivalries and the hockey and everything else. So I know the same thing can happen with lacrosse. But it was great to see it back there for its first regular season game since the Montreal Express. And I even saw a couple Express jerseys in the crowd, so I know one of them too. He's a rookie. Way to go, Mike. Anyways, let's keep moving on there. The PLL. Let's go with a couple of players of the week first. Last week's player of the week was Brian Cole with Georgia's defeating of Rochester coming from behind, or actually coming from scoring with 24 seconds left to win the game. Brian Cole had 5 goals and 2 assists in that game. Ryan Sheridan for Panther City. We're talking about Panther City. He was a rookie of the week with 5 goals and an assist in their victory. A couple of milestones. One was Tom Schreiber. He got his 300th assist on Friday night. Huge accomplishment. Jacob Rouet last night got his 500th loose ball on Friday night for the Desert Dogs. And here's a confusing one because a couple of pages got this wrong. Nick Rose did not get his 100th career win on Friday night. We celebrated that last week when he got his 100th career win. Nick Rose did have one victory when he was with the Boston Blazers as Anthony Cosmo's backup in 2010. He spent 2 years there, 1 year in Calgary, or half a year before he got traded to Toronto and spent the rest of his career there. So that one win, he actually has 101 wins. That was his 100th career Toronto Rock victory that puts him up with Bob Watson as the second goaltender to get 100 wins for the Rock organization. Just to clarify. Now, for some PLL stuff. We had their championship series over in Washington and Virginia. And Some pretty good stuff, man. And you know, the funny thing is, I'm listening to these people talking about, well, it's kind of like fake box. No, to me, it's kind of like mini field. It's much bigger than box, and it is as fast as box, but it's not box. It's mini field. It's a smaller field than the PLL field with continuous play and a heck of a lot of scoring. Now, one of the things that Paul Rabel did, and he needs to be congratulated for, and the PLL, everybody involved, was yesterday. Sorry, it was yesterday, yes. Before the semifinals began, they had the women's all-star game and their exhibition thing. And the North beat the South 18-12. And watching that game was spectacular. The women's game deserves where it gets on the main stage and some. These women are phenomenal. Charlotte North was the MVP. She had 6 goals and 2 assists, and she was phenomenal. Behind the back shots, behind the back goals, leading that team. The entire thing looked like this. It was spectacularly done. A fantastic game. And again, kudos to the PLL for giving them the moment that they needed on national television, on ESPN, on TSN, to actually get this shown, because it needs to be seen. I know Michelle Boyer has been working hard to try and get them with World Lacrosse and get more than the 10 teams that are going. There's 13 or 14 ready. As you can see from this, the talent level is great. It took something like the Women's Professional Hockey League to finally get people to see that the women's hockey is easily as exciting as the men's hockey. I love watching it. I watch more than I'm watching a lot of the guys' hockey because they try on every shift. There's no nights off. They put it all out there. And so do the women's lacrosse. And they really need to be given a bigger spectacle than, you know, a little scrap here and a little scrap there. The time is now. And it's a great time for women's lacrosse to get in and for advertising dollars to get in there. Because remember, if you are someone who's looking at revenue, if you have men's lacrosse and you have women's lacrosse, don't you get revenue from both sides? Isn't that doubling your thing? Doesn't that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's a win-win. Yeah.
So, you know, if I can figure this out, surely some of these business minds can figure this out and get this moving, because it's time. Yeah, North can play on any level is correct. That would be one that actually could, if she could take the hits, could easily do men's field. She is so talented and amazing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And like I said, the time is now. The iron is white hot. It's time to move in the right direction. Eduardo's trying to give us a little thing that Calgary is leading in the fourth, and they're leading by a lot now. It's 17-11 with just under 7 minutes to play. It's a good football score, guys.
Yeah.
Nothing like a quick 40 goals on a Sunday evening. By the time we're finished, maybe. All right, let's get to some of the PLL stuff. Regular and decent tournament. You know, last year was a little bit hinky with huge lopsided scores. The scoring is still large because you're talking about smaller fields, sharpshooters. But in the semifinals, we had the Cannons beat the Redwoods 23-15, which was unique because the night before the Cannons took it on the chin when the Philadelphia Water Dogs beat them like a drum, and they came back resilient. So the Boston Cannons advanced to the Champ Series final with a huge win over the Redwoods. Asher Nolting with 11 points in that game. The other game was the Water Dogs beating the Archers. I guess a little bit of retribution for the PLL in the Summer Championship, but not quite. 27-21 was the final in that one. And tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, it'll be Boston versus Philadelphia for the championship, and they'll be awarding their golden stick as well for their top scorer. Exciting stuff, guys. Excuse me. I think the PLL's come a long way with this tournament in only a couple of years. So I think that we're on to something really, really big. Once again, Eduardo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll skip ahead. Okay. Just before we get into ALL for Eduardo.
Yeah.
Taking this game as one for Calgary.
Yeah.
Look, there's Pat and I at the top at 4-1. Muffler at 3-2 with Eduardo at 3-2.
It was a rough week. Yeah.
And Shawn is taking my spot.
Yeah.
But Shawn was so far ahead of us that he's still
back to the path.
tied in first place with Pat at 39-28. Eduardo on nipping at their heels at 37-30. I have made up some ground at 35-32. And Muffler is coming up there at 32-35. So we're getting there. We're one big ball. Couple of games separating us. Anyways, let's get into some ALL action. Some interesting games, guys. It started out Friday night over at the ILA, and the Six Nations Snipers faced the Oswego Bears, who have been really falling on hard times. As you know, the Snipers got their first win last week, and we're looking to increase on there. The Bears had lost their last 5 games, and we're really swimming around in it. And this game didn't help. 16-12 for the Snipers was your final, in which Oswego fell behind huge in the beginning. It was 6-1 after 1, and they were chasing at that point onward. A big second where they scored 6 goals to try and get back in the game, but it was 10-7 at the half. 12-11 after 3, and it was looking like maybe they had a bit of game in them, but the Snipers shut them down in the fourth, outscoring them 4-1 for the 16-12 final. Brent Longboat with 3 goals and 2 assists was your first star of the game for Six Nations. James Whiteford with 3 goals and 5 assists was your second star for Oswego. And Ross Hill with 3 goals and 4 assists was your third star, for Six Nations. We move on to the Saturday games, and Oshawa is showing that they are for real. They faced the Timbermen out in Peterborough and came away with a 17-13 victory. Of note in that game, John St. John of the Oshawa Outlaws got his 500th career Arena Lacrosse League point. Quite an achievement. He is a spectacular player, really a great setup man, and has great hands. So hoping that at some point that somebody in the NLL will give him an opportunity. He's had a couple little kicks here and there. I know he caught on with Colorado 1 point for a couple of games, but nothing seems to stick. So let's hope that he can actually make it up there. The Outlaws got out to a 5-1 lead, but before the half was done, Peterborough had made a game of it, and it was 7-6 Oshawa at the half. A big third quarter from the Outlaws, scoring 6 times, put this game pretty much on its heels, where it became a 13-7 game. Peterborough did make a run for it. They get 6 goals in the fourth, but Oshawa had 4 themselves. 17-13 was your final. Alex Simons was the first star for Oshawa. John St. John and Gareth Hay also for Oshawa as the second and third stars. Moving later in the day was over at the Rock Athletic Center, and it was the Toronto Monarchs facing the Paris River Wolves, who only had a couple of losses. And Toronto had been falling on a little bit of hard times. They had their first win out of 3 or 4 games last week. Well, Toronto was able to get an overtime victory in this game, 14-13 over Paris. An excellent game. Craig Wendy was the second star of the game. He shone in this game. Really, he was just lights out in net and really trying to make his point that he belongs in the NLL. And I believe he does too. He deserves another opportunity up there. Paris actually got out to a 5-3 lead after 1. but Toronto shut them down altogether in the second quarter and outscored them 5-0, which made it 8-5 at the half. Paris wasn't finished, though. 5 goals in the third for them, and it was a 10-10 game with a couple of goals for Toronto. They were 3-3 in the fourth, which led them into overtime, where Parker Pfeiffer finished off a Jordan Dance pass about 1:40 into the overtime. Sorry, about 6 minutes and 40 seconds into the overtime. And it was a 14-13 Monarchs victory. Moving into Sunday, Whitby was playing Oswego, and their woes continued. And the Steelhawks went pillar to post with them, beating them 19-10. Really, this thing was, I'd say over from the beginning, but you know what? Oswego played a great first half. It was 6-5 at the half. But between the game on Friday and the talented Whitby team, they just didn't have the gas for it, and they were outscored 13-5 in the second half, and that was our 19-10 final. So Whitby moves to 9-1 on the league on the season. There was one final game, and that was Brampton facing Six Nations, one of the makeup games, I believe, from that snow out back a few weeks back. And Brampton came away with that victory. They put together a couple of wins in a row, 13-11 in a real nip and tuck kind of game. So if we're looking at the power rankings, you'll see that Whitby is in first. Oshawa has kept their spot in second. Paris is in third. Brampton has moved up into fourth now, ahead of Peterborough, who is sitting in fifth. Toronto is in sixth, but on Peterborough's heels. Six Nations is in seventh, and Oswego, losing 7 in a row now, is sitting in eighth. We had a couple of games midweek again with the I'm sorry, we don't. They're up the middle of this coming week. The Sea Spray and the Grizzlies are playing on Wednesday. The Eagles and the Blackfish are playing each other on Tuesday. Both games are 7 p.m. Pacific time. Looking at the standings, I had mentioned Whitby is in first place. It's at 9-1. Oshawa is sitting in second at 7-3. The Paris Riverwolves are at 6-3. The Timbermen are in fourth at 5-5. Brampton is on their heels at 4-5. The Monarchs are now at 4-6. And Six Nations and Oswego both are sitting at 2-8. In the West, the Sea Spray is in first place with an 8-4 record. The Shooting Eagles second at 7-5. The Blackfish are 6-6, and the Grizzlies are coming up the rear at 3-9. There was no Arena Lacrosse League Women's East this week. The games are next Saturday at the ILA. Stick with our page, and I will have the games for you by mid to the end of the week, so you know who you're catching and what time those games are. All right, guys. We had a lot of lacrosse to look at, didn't we? Just before we get rolling here, you know, the Wings Nest is about to happen, guys. Pat, what's going on?
What's up, boys? What's going on?
I'm sure the Higgins parade, it began early in that game when he made about 25 saves in a row to keep them in the damn game and coming away with a 12-10 victory. I would say a good heap of that. I can't wait to your glowing report on how great Higgins was. In fact, it should be written all over here. It was 10-8. Joe Resitaritz scores 5, and Zach Higgins makes save after save after save after save. Wings win in Vegas and snap the 3-game losing streak. Am I correct?
How old are you guys?
He's speechless.
Yeah,
If I can get that speechless, I've done some work here, you know?
Yes. Listen, I might have to get the Higgins tattoo going across like the shoulder or something. I might. I didn't think this could be done. I was wondering what triggered to this guy, and he played well. He played very, very well in Las Vegas. I don't know if he can't play in that Wells Fargo Center, but he could certainly play on the road. And listen, that whole team snapped out, and they needed to. And like what I saw of him in Twin Pipes, and not just him, I got to give the defense in front of him a little bit of credit. I mean, they played very, very sharp. I mean, keeping man-to-man cover zones, the way they got into single zones and all that stuff, the way they were shutting down the lane, and for guys who can't pretty much do what they want, they cut pretty much Las Vegas from arm's length of trying to score. They were trying to force them to score from outside in. I mean, a couple guys got theirs in. I mean, they were really, really guys like Jack Hanna, a young kid like that, was shooting away from far out. I mean, look, they got their dues, man. It was pretty good. But I mean, if you look at the first half stats, you have the Wings up. It was pretty much evenly matched, 22 a pop for shots on goal, face-offs, pretty much almost equally matched. Of 8 out of 14 for Philadelphia, 6 out of 14 for Vegas. Power plays, Vegas again. Only they both had one successful power play. Loose balls, Philly got more loose balls. Turnovers are just about equal, 10 apiece. I mean, this was pretty much an even game across the board. I was listening, I guess, because Philadelphia wound up getting the Vegas broadcasting of things, and I got to listen. So I don't know the player, but he was kind of much friend, and he wasn't getting too much on the officials, but he was like, "Oh, I feel like if you're going to call, penalties, it's got to be across the board." I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of disagree because I thought Philadelphia was getting their fair share of getting, the trips to the sin bins as well." But nonetheless. Great game, and look, everyone was wondering when's Miss Jones going to find the back of net. He didn't have to do anything. He could just sit there and he was facilitating the whole night. I mean, again, Joe Russell-Terrence getting 5 goals. I mean, Joe Russell-Terrence was just getting that corner spot, and he was just picking them apart. And he did a phenomenal job. Just when the opportunity presented itself, he was making goals. So he looked really, really sharp. Again, between him, Ben McIntosh, whether he's making goals or he again facilitating that game, that they had really, really solid ball movement between that whole offense of Philadelphia Wings. And like I said, on the other side of the ball, the defense looked really, really sharp. The defense, Zach Higgins, I can't believe I'm giving the Zach Higgins parade already. I mean, I'm going to drive, and he's just wanted to do his throw flowers.
Up as what we're advertising, you know that, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to call David Archer right now because I need him to help me out with Zach Higgins and all the crush and love I got for the guy now.
That's spectacular. Well, we do have highlights of the game. Why don't we take a look at that and then we get back to some more.
Presence in this sport. Great cut, and we have our first goal of the game. I didn't see that one, Jake. Who got it?
Nothing score here, AJ, but you feel like the next goal in this game is a pretty big one.
Does Jackson have it? He does! Down low by Landon Kells.
Yeah, I'm not sure Philadelphia's going to like that effort, but a chance here.
Fake the around the back. Kenny scores!
One of my faves.
They're going to be playing songs all night during breaks. As that is shoved in. Great quick stick on the backside. And it's a goal for Russell-Terrence. Jones shovels it to Reardon. Reardon, Russell-Terrence waiting, diving. He's got it. His 4th in style. Shoots, he ties the game. McIntosh in the middle. Katoni, and that's Tate Katoni there. Let's get it straight. He scores.
Value the ball as well.
Mitch Jones to Blaze Reardon now. McIntosh picks the upper 90, and it's a 2-goal lead for the Wings.
Oh my goodness.
It's halftime, and now penalty is down under 5. And so the Wings kill the penalty, but Washington scores. That is a 5-on-5 goal at the very end of that power play. Mitch Jones backing through. Resiteris, he scores! Joe Resiteris has his fifth.
Yeah.
And those are your highlights.
Yeah, that was solid. Again, as you saw in that highlight reel there, again, they Vegas was trying to put double coverages on Mitch Jones, trying to get physical with him at some time, especially the Jack Saunders was trying to get physical with him, which actually wound up hurting the Vegas Desert Dogs because that would make it cause an overturn, which gave Philly more time with the ball, and they were able to contribute and do what they exactly want to do. I will say that for me, the highlight play of the game, I want to say James Barkley. Am I saying that name right? But he got like a breakaway, and he jumps up in the air and does like a 5-hole between Higgins' legs. That was pretty sick. I got to give that's got to be the play of the game right there. But yeah, like I said, absolute big time win. Hopefully, this is a confidence booster now moving forward. Going up to Calgary next week. Hopefully, you get a couple W's. Now you hover around that last 8th seed playoff spot.
Well, Calgary just won. It was 17-11. That's the final now. And that means these pick'ems are correct now. Yes, Pat, you and I.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
going back to earth. Yeah. Yeah.
These kids took low. But
yeah,
well, you know,
I'm not that far away, so you know. Those are my
yeah. Well, and Shawn and I talked about this off air, just as a tangent. But you know, we're at the end of week 12 out of 21 now, so you know, time wise, we're a little over halfway through the season, but we only just finished half of the number of regular season games. I believe this game that just ended now is the 67th game out of 135. So, you know, the schedule got a little bit front loaded with bye weeks, and you know, we're going to have basically 68 games over the last 9 weeks of the season, which is going to be pretty insane. But getting back to getting back to the you know, getting back to specifically the Higgins and stuff, and looking ahead, you know, this is a Desert Dogs team that thrives on transition, and you know, you saw from the highlights, you know, other than the Barclay goal and the Soroketti goal, they weren't getting a lot in transition. And when you're doing that much, you know, when you're thriving that much on transition, but you're only getting 44 shots on goal, I believe.
Yep.
You know, certainly that helps Higgins' cause, because what have we been talking about for the last month?
Shots.
55, 60, 65 shots. And look how much rubber Higgins is facing.
You know, I shared a stat with you guys recently where Higgins has most saves of any goaltender on average right now, but he's seeing so much rubber.
Yeah.
The game where he only saw 44 shots, he only gave up 8. So when he's getting regular shots, he's looking pretty spectacular. This should mean something. Guido, thank you very much for following along. Appreciate it. Pat, that is Tate and Holden's dad.
Oh, really? Okay. Listen, look, Mr. Catoni, it was an honor to get to speak with Tate last year. A really good guy, and I know he must be proud to see him get a nice little goal in this past weekend. You know, he another one got himself on the scoreboard. He made a nice little cut drive to the net. It was nice that they take Catoni, even though I think the rest of the officials, I don't know who was working the scoreboard. From the audio, all that stuff. They thought Catoni was a healthy scratch. Or I thought they thought he was the one who was hurt. They had nothing right going on so far. So, but when he lit the lamp, that was sure to be recognized, though. That was for sure. So, but like I said, though, with this Philadelphia Wings team, again, just kind of building yourself a little momentum now, and see how you do going against Calgary. Now, you said that Calgary got themselves a W. Listen, It's not going to be an easy road trip, but if they can somehow play like this, keep being aggressive. If Zach Higgins can just, whatever triggered him this past week of wanting to be a stud player, we all know that's in him. No pun intended, but we know he's got that hunger dog in him. And if he can just carry that over in the next week and they bring that back home, hey, listen, from here on out, the playoffs start now for the Philadelphia Wings.
You know what's an interesting point you make with seeing Calgary next, because they're a similar team to Las Vegas in the fact too they live and die by the transition as well. So if they can kind of play a similar game, they'll definitely have a shot.
Yeah, limit the shots, limit the number of chances, and certainly seeing Eric Schul back in the lineup, I think, is a big help in keeping those shots down. Yeah. So I did notice a lot more players soaking up shots on the back end. So, and I don't know what does anyone know what the timetable is on Mitch Armstrong yet? He's got to be close. He's been.
I don't know.
He's been out for at least
a while, but
I thought
when I talked with Paul Day, he didn't have a number for me either. So,
okay, I thought it was 4 to 6 weeks, but
I hope the Philadelphia Wings doctors ain't like the 76er doctor. They don't know anything.
Yeah, just Embiid, that's a sore one, eh?
No.
Anyways, that has been the Wings Nest. Pat, thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Oh, sure. Anytime, guys. I'm looking towards, next week with me. So let's go. Listen, Higgins, keep it up, buddy. I'm going to get that jersey. It's coming. It's coming. Auto trucks, the Amazon trucks are coming, buddy. So you keep on doing it. All right, guys. See you later.
All right. Take care, Pat. Always fun with Pat and the Wings Nest. A little bit more of a serious note here. We're going to go to the Halifax Buffalo game, but before we get into that one, we joust the refs a lot, and we roast them, and we're better at making the calls than they are, and blah 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 blah. What they do is insane. They have to get themselves in the most dangerous of dangerous spots at all times, so they can see if the ball's over the line, if this is happening, if that's happening, and be in the right position at all times. Well, sometimes things don't go right.
Wayne, Dean Smith in on both goals. A goal and an assist. There's a sidearm shot. Well, the official. Oh, my goodness. And he took it out.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. That was Josh Hiltz. He's probably the smallest ref in the league. Real nice guy. He's a friend of mine. I was texting back and forth actually with his mom when that happened, and because he left the game. But to his credit, he passed obviously concussion protocol, and he was back. That happened in the first quarter. He was back at the beginning of the second and finished out that game. Now he's got a couple of gaping cuts in his mouth and an awful lot of swelling, but apparently there's no fracture in his jaw. There's no concussion. No loose teeth or any of that. So thank goodness for that. We wish him a speedy recovery. I was texting back and forth with him yesterday, and yeah, he's in a lot of pain, and yeah, he's got a hell of a headache, but he is okay and on the mends. So that's great news. So we never want to see stuff like that. So maybe it's good it happened in Halifax.
Maybe back in the 70s with the Flyers. I don't know about today.
Oh yeah, well, here's a Band-Aid. Suck it up. Why are you missing a shift? Get out there. I'm telling you, that was a very scary moment. But that's not the first time it's happened to him. Last year in, I believe it was the Calgary-Toronto Rock game, or it was the playoff game. I'm sorry. And again, he got one in the face. So he's not afraid to get into the position to make the correct calls. It's just that sometimes that ball finds him quicker than he can find it.
Yeah, that was kind of an unfortunate bounce off the shot that just.
Yeah, just was a skip shot. Yeah. Caught him flush. And, well, you saw the result. Down he went. All right, let's get to the game itself. Halifax won 14-12, coming from behind. Huge come from behind win.
Yeah.
9-2 Buffalo at one point. Vanessa scores 5. But, wow.
Yeah, crazy game. Yeah,
Another stat,
Chris.
Son?
What's that? Sorry.
There's another stat for you. Jake Withers.
Yeah, Jake
Perfect
Withers.
as a dot.
And that could have made a big difference, especially when they're down. But yeah, they were down actually 8-2 late in the second quarter, and it wasn't really, they dominated at one point or another with Halifax. They just kind of just kept chipping away at that lead. They had a 3-goal run at the end of the second with Shanks, Clark Pearson, and Aaron Woods. He's had an outstanding rookie campaign so far. 3-goal run brings it back to 8-5 at the half. Ryan Benesh adds another one in his 5 goals, he was a clog just with this comeback. Cobb Buchanan got one back, and then again another 3-goal run with Shanks, Theed, and Benesh again. Josh Burns gets one back. Buffalo's ahead now 10-9. Then Clark Pearson, Benesh again, and now Halifax has the lead 11-10 for their first lead of the game didn't come till 11:26 on the clock in the fourth quarter. They just kind of, like I said, kind of chipping away. And another thing, Halifax was 4 for 6 on the power play. So you leave them up a man. They made Buffalo pay for that.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys make about this Buffalo team? This is the third game in a row. First time that it's actually bit them. But this is the third game in a row where they've had big leads and taken their foot off the gas, and teams have caught up. Toronto almost beat them. Rochester almost beat them. And now Halifax did beat them. What's that saying about 1, their defense, 2, their focus, and 3, Matt Vincent net? All 3, I think, are concerns.
Yeah. I'd probably lead more towards 2 and 3 with Matt Vincent and net. Is he starting to catch up a little bit where he's starting to run out of gas near the end of those games?
14 goals or more.
Yeah, and just focus. Like, how do you blow a 6-point lead?
Yeah, and obviously, I was going to say, maybe losing Ethan O'Connor in free agency is hurting a little more than people thought.
I'm still scratching my head about that.
Not having Bryce Sweeting, not having Frank Brown.
Yeah.
Still scratching my head about trading McCulley. He was that guy. Transitionally, he would do anything
to back check. Yeah.
Back check, fight, get the odd goal here and there. Had good hands, but wasn't afraid to be inside, set picks, and it really still a head scratcher because they got nothing for him, really.
Yeah, because it's something we've kind of talked about. Like, yes, Buffalo's really kept a good core together, and they do have young guys. Don't get me wrong, but they are starting to get a little long in the tooth. Yeah.
And for McCulley, when people are saying, well, he's from Victoria and he wanted to go home, he's still living in Buffalo, guys, and he will be living there until the end of the NLL season before he moves back, because now both teams he plays for is in the West Coast.
Yep.
So it had nothing to do with where he's situated or work or any of that. He was in and still is in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I still don't understand that move at all. Yeah.
And just another point against it too is that they chased Warren Hill. They had Drew Hutchison in goal, and they still couldn't manage. They were outscored 9-4 in the second half.
See, there's another question. It's Warren Hill, because he didn't look great tonight either.
No.
He got chased at one point and went back in the second half, but and looked a little better. But by the fourth, he didn't look that great again. He didn't look good at all against Buffalo. We saw him decent for a couple of games, but the majority of the season, he hasn't looked like the Warren Hill of the last few years. Is it time for concern?
Not as long as they keep on finding ways to win.
Yeah.
But they didn't tonight, right?
But they did tonight.
No, they didn't tonight. So now they're 6-4. One thing I will add, that game with Buffalo, I believe, was their only meeting this season. So that's a key tiebreaker to have.
Especially with Buffalo basically with the same record as them in the standing. I think Buffalo's 5-5 now.
Yeah. So you know, come playoff time, that's going to be a bit of a big deal. But you know, I guess I would look at it more as like a league-wide thing. You know, how many wins do you think is going to keep a team in the playoffs, or
thing is a 9-9 record,
or maybe get you a number 1 seed at this point?
I was just thinking, like, is a 9-9 record going to be enough for a playoff spot?
Yeah. I mean, conversely, you could ask, is 10-8 necessarily a lock?
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I don't see taking what we have now, and again, you know, keeping in mind we're just reaching the halfway point in games played, even though we're 12 weeks into the season. I'm not sure I see any team going better than 14-4 right now. And obviously that, you know, that cuts out a lot of teams already. But you know, even with Albany and Toronto at 7-2, you've got San Diego at 6-3, you've got Halifax at 6-4 now. So they'd have to win out the whole way. But there's still a lot of key games between those top teams that still need to be played. I believe Buffalo and Toronto need to play once more. Toronto and Halifax might need to play once more. Halifax and San Diego haven't played yet, I don't believe. Albany has to play Buffalo again. Albany has to play Toronto.
That doesn't happen until April 6th, though. That's a long way away.
Yeah.
But just I think by the time you total up all those games that still have to be played between the top teams right now, I find it really difficult to see any team going 14-4.
All right. Well, let's have a look at the highlights and see exactly where it went in this game.
Hunter. Cody Jamieson going to the goal. Jamieson drops it. Benesh fakes, shoots, scores! Here is Josh Byrne. Smith finds some room, shoots, he scores! He goes low, and a beauty there. And it's a 2-1 game. Now Kelsey would like that. He's a big lacrosse guy. Here's Fraser. Fraser working one-on-one. He goes to the goal, shoots, he scores! Oh my goodness, that was filthy. Eventually, tosses the ball into the stick of Smith. Byrne on the run, scores! Over the shoulder of Warren Hill. Josh Byrne to Byrne, he's going to get it to Dane Smith. Smith fakes, Smith, nice move, heads in, shoots, he scores! The great Dane with another one here. And that's coming in. A little swim move to get away from McKay. Heads to the crease. He dives. He scores! Are you serious, Clark Peterson? Lots of time left on the clock. Good job by Woods. He hustles in, gets it over to Benesh. Benesh over to the far side. Nice pass. Woods shoots. He scores! Aaron Woods. 7 o'clock Eastern. 8 o'clock here, I guess. It's a lot of math for me to do. This power play brought to you by RS Breakers and Controls. They shoot, they score! That didn't take long. Here's Austin Shanks. He's got room. Decides not to shoot. Gets it over. Out in front. Oh, a shot. They score. Dawson Feed. Tic-tac-toe. And the Birds are within one.
Reading all the orders, huh?
Exactly. Working up. The keg, there's a shot, Benesh! Man, again, another quickie. That only took 4 seconds. Buffalo, Dane Smith, over to Josh Byrne. Byrne, it's a little room to shoot, he scores! Again, another one on the run. It's 10-9, Buffalo. Some help here as he takes it towards the top and finds Cody Jamieson to the far side. And a shot, they score! Clark Peterson. Tarafanko. He's had a good game here tonight as he moves it over. Shanks out in front, shot, and they score! Ryan Benesh, who else? As he works, nice pass, here's a chance, Cloutier shoots, he scores! Awfully close to the crease, but looks like he may have stayed out, and Cloutier. Peterson throws out a little instruction for Shanks, now Peterson. Peterson has a little room. He goes in, across, quick stick, they score! Dawson feed. Smith hangs on to it for now. He's met by Tyson Bell, but Josh Byrne gets it over to Kyle Buchanan. Buchanan shoots, he scores! From long distance, Kyle Buchanan respond. As they'll play it here out in front, Woods fake shoot, scores! Woods, for any lacrosse players out there that, here's a chance, Benesh scores back-to-back for the Thunder.
That's a lot of scoring, eh?
Yeah.
High scoring.
And an awful lot of shoulder shrugging by Matt Vince in those highlights.
Yeah. You noticed
after goals. So, clearly something's not clicking like it was last year.
No.
So.
Absolutely, Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
But he's making things look effortless this year.
Oh, yeah, he's looking younger and younger by the week now, isn't it?
Yeah.
He looked great in the summertime playing for Ladner, and then now it just ramped it right up. He's just feeling it. And Thied, man.
Yeah, and boy, you got to wonder if he's going to rethink his decision that, this might be his last season. So, with the way he's playing,
yeah,
it's true.
Of course, if he gets the cup, it's a chance to retire on top. So,
well, Halifax got to do a few things first, like win a few more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still have.
This will be the first year where they don't have to face the Rock in the playoffs first round too. That might be the they can actually get their feet right in the playoffs.
Can't be sure of that yet either.
That's true.
4-5 game or something.
Yeah,
you can see that too, can you? Or in this case, probably be a 7-2 game, right? Something like
Maybe.
that. Anyways, let's head on over to Laval. And the Rock and the Riptide played. The Riptide technically were the home team in this game. Mark Matthews, he stars, 4 goals, 7 assists. In Montreal as a Rock snap Riptide's 4-game winning streak. And I'll tell you, it didn't look like that from the start. Before anybody really got comfortable in their seats, it was 3-0 New York, and we were only less than 3 minutes into the game, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I've seen this New York team recently, and this is a little scary. Josh Dalway got the Rock on the board, and it was it looked like the Rock started feeling it again. However, Callum Jones in his first NLL goal, a long lead pass from Cam Dunkerley that caught everybody off guard. He goes in and scores a beauty, 4-1. Corey Small, your hero from last week, even though in a losing effort with 5 goals, with a power play goal off a Tom Schreiber pass. You can hear that a lot. And it was 4-2. Larson Sundown with a beautiful goal off an Austrian Madronic feed, 5-2 at the end of the first. And again, you're looking at it going, New York's playing pretty steady. Toronto doesn't seem to be feeling it. Nick Rose was not quite Nick Rose. Usually at the beginning of the game, a couple of those easy ones slide in, but it looked like he was fighting it on this turf. But as the game went along, he got more comfortable for sure. Justin Martin doing what Justin Martin does and scoring in transition, opened up the second quarter scoring. Larson Sundown on the power play then scored for New York and was 6-3. Then the Mark Matthews show starts. Matthews on the power play off a Schreiber pass. Then Matthews again off a Challen Rogers pass, and it's 6-5. Jeff Teat scores. That is his third of the night, and it's 7-5 New York. Dan Craig scores, and Mark Matthews scores again for his hat trick, and it's 7-7 at halftime. Now, we've talked about this before. What's the best way to shut down New York, guys?
Shut down Jeff Teat.
Exactly. Jeff Teat doesn't score again the rest of the night. Pretty good job. But the turning point in my eyes came with just about a minute to go. And, the Rock showed life. Cree, they went after Schreiber, and the entire Rock floor got into a little melee with the Riptide, and the fight that ensued was Cree against LaFontaine. Courtesy of the Lax magazine, here is a clip. What do I think of the different type of turf? I'm not a big fan of it. I like the other turf. I think the ball moves better on it. And, just my opinion. And also, if you looked when they were taking the face-offs, the emblems were ripped to shreds over at the center, which I'm sure created a little bit of footing situations near the end of the game.
So say, other than that, though, I'm a little bit for it in the sense that you're not getting those wrinkles and those seams that could. It's a player safety thing, right? With the seams and the wrinkles that go in there, you don't get those. So I kind of like it in that sense. You definitely have to work out, those emblems and stuff like that, because then that becomes player safety too.
Yeah, that becomes like the old Rochester Arena where things are falling off and peeling off, and you don't want that either.
No.
Let's move into the second half, and this is where Toronto got themselves back in the old Toronto form. They outscored New York 9-3. They stopped them all together in the third. It was 3 goals for Toronto to nothing for New York. Dan Craig opened it up just 47 seconds in. Corey Small converted a Dan Craig pass about halfway into the third quarter, and then Mark Matthews with his 4th of the night converted a Tom Schreiber pass to make it 10-7. The only thing that had people concerned was it had been a while since Tom Schreiber had put one in. I think it was something like 5 quarters at that stage. And, people were starting to get – but, if he's going to get 8 assists, who cares? You got Matthews putting it in. This is the offense that I like to see and wanted to see when I heard that Matthews was coming over, is that you have a number of different things. You have Dan Craig, Dan Lintner, you have Josh Dahlwick, you have Mark Matthews, you have Tom Schreiber, and Corey Small. It keeps going. And then you have the transition game working. So it's moving, because you didn't hear too much from Justin Martin. You didn't hear much from Brandon Slade. So, they didn't have the night in transition, but the offense did. Lintner scores on the power play. New York got themselves into a bunch of power play problems in the fourth, and Toronto made them pay with 4 power play goals in the fourth. Like I say, Lintner scored. Dan Craig scored on the power play. This was they were a 2-minute advantage. It was a 5-minute penalty and a 2-minute where Lintner scored, and then on the remaining of the 5 was Craig scoring. Stephen Keogh did come back with a pair of goals, both off Jeff T passes to make this game a little closer. It was 12-9. But Schreiber finally did get on the board off of the power play, off of Mark Matthews' pass, making it 13-9. Josh Dahlwick with a howitzer, just an absolutely beautiful shot off a Schreiber pass, making it 14-9. Corey Small added 2 more, 1 5-on-5 and then 1 on the power play. And then Larson Sundown, with just 33 seconds left, scored the Riptide's 10th goal, but it was way too little, way too late. And Toronto comes away with a 16-10 victory. Looking at some of the stats, how nice it is to have a face-off guy like TD Erlin back. Toronto dominated a face-off dot 21-9. I mentioned about the power plays and the trouble that New York had. Toronto went 6 for 7 on the power play, getting a shorthanded goal as well. New York went 1 for 2 on the power play, also scoring on a shorthanded goal. Shots on goal favored Toronto 55-45. Loose balls, Toronto also led 73-63. So a big win for the Toronto Rock that leaves them on top of the league at 7-2. And why don't we take a look at some of the highlights?
Such a weapon. Can pretty much play anywhere on the field for. Kerner drives. Oh, what a way to open it up! Fantastic! Behind the back goal. Kiernan has Keogh. He'll scoop it his way. And Riptide go back to back. T against Calgary. No, absolutely not, John. It's the Riptide continue to roll. Teat with it. Craig up top, quick passes with Schreiber. Back across the floor, Corey Small shoots, scores! Oh my goodness, what a bullet! Puck in the corner. Wanted to challenge and was not able to, so negated, and that goal will stand. And a short-handed goal is followed up by a power play dunk. Matthews swings, scores! Lethal. Mark Matthews, a power play goal for the Rock. But Rose in net. Rogers, what a swim play, dishes over. Matthews scores! Big stops at one end. Riley O'Connor, back to Teague. Oh, Lear had a handful and Teague breaks through. Down a marksman in Rogers, their captain. All of this is Latrell Harris hits out. Nice swim move. What a goal! Craig. Matthews puts his head down, drops, scores!
Doesn't show up too big on the score sheet, but it could be massive here.
Craig drives, scores! That one looked real good from Dan Craig. With 2 tonight. Stutter step, spins, no drive. Small, shoot, scores! He can put it in from anywhere, and a Lone Ranger. Schreiber, Matthews, scores! No power play, no problem. And add to their totals. Lots of room out there. Matthews, Lintner scores! What a quick stick finish! Rock still on the power play. Schreiber, quick stick, other side, that goes in! And Craig buries, and Toronto goes back-to-back. This is one past the far side. Keogh back to the ball. 10 to shoot for Keogh. Scores! There's the touch of the turf. Schreiber shoots, scores! That one breaks Schreiber out of a funk. Matthews on the move, tiptoes, small, scores! 90. Low shot, scores.
A lot of scoring. Guido makes a comment there. Anything's better than the Calgary turf. Saskatchewan turf too, for my eyes, man. That's just too hard on my eyes. That thing. I don't know how you all do it. But Utica Getty makes a point too. Very hard to watch these games. You can't see the ball moving. So it's difficult with these backdrop of this turf. But also Matthews is a beast. One concerning fact for the Rock is that Challen Rogers left with an upper body injury at the half, and he didn't return. And haven't heard much about that since. So hopefully it's nothing much, and he'll be back in the lineup Saturday against Vancouver. And off we go. Before we go any further, guys, just a reminder, this part of the show is brought to you by Sherry's Tickets.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about Sherry's Tickets. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. Do not pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. That's 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, do not overpay and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. You'll thank us later. Sherry'sTickets.com.
Absolutely. Okay, that brings us over to the Albany, Colorado game. And this game was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. A lot of different things happening in that game. Doug Jamieson back in that game. Simmons, another 4 goals. Kurtz, 3 goals, 4 assists. Lead Albany to the home win.
Yeah, and Kurtz and Simmons are, well, Simmons and Kurtz, I should say, are 1-2, I believe, in rookie scoring this year. So big reason why Albany's tied with Toronto at 7-2 for the league lead.
Yep.
But yeah, Doug Jamieson returns, 50 saves in the win. Like you said before, Simmons 4 goals and an assist. Kurtz 3 goals, 4 assists. They got a hat trick and 2 assists out of Ethan Walker. Travis Longboat had a goal and 4 assists. Marshall Palace had a highlight reel goal, which I'm sure is probably in the package.
Mm-hmm.
But they got out to a quick lead, but Colorado kind of kept answering. It was 6-5 Albany at the half. Colorado came back, tied it up 8-8 at the end of 3. And through the first 8 to 9 minutes of the fourth, it was back and forth, just trading goals, 11-11. Paulus scores his goal, and then there's an insurance goal after that. But the Mammoths still had about 4 minutes to play, with a chance to pull even. Only down by 2, but just couldn't solve Dougie at the end.
So here's my question to you, Mike. Is it time to pull a shoot for Colorado?
I'm gonna say no, and my reasoning is they're 3-7. I think Georgia and New York might be the only other teams that have played 10 games so far. But 5 of their next 6 are at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that they could go 5-1, 4-2 in that stretch. And even if they're 4-2, that would put them at 7-9 with at least 1 winnable game on the road out of 2. They finished the season at Las Vegas and at Halifax. So that that last game might be, the killer. But, even if they manage to go 5-1, they've got New York, Saskatchewan, then they're at Toronto, and then 3 more at home: Rochester, Buffalo, Philly. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to turn it around and maybe squeak in with a 9-9 record.
That's kind of why I mentioned maybe a 9-9 record earlier, is because you look at the parity right now, especially in these standings. You can see a log jam at 9-9. You could be at least getting yourself into a tiebreaker scenario to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. And I think it only looks worse right now. Right now they're 14th out of 15 teams. Only Vancouver at 2-7 is worse right now. But, just all those teams right above them with 3 wins, have games in hand on Colorado. So that's going to kind of be the key. You've got Saskatchewan, who's got, I think, 3 games in hand. But, you got to look at the other side of the coin. Saskatchewan's going to have that brutal stretch where they're playing 5 games in 15 days. Week 17, 18, 19, I think.
Yeah, because I think I saw a stat from December 15th. Rush played 4 games in total since December. So
such a lopsided schedule.
Yeah.
Well, the postponement is the
that didn't help.
Game of Philly is what contributed to that. But
well, it's just like Toronto losing all their bye weeks already too, right? So now you're going to go on a West Coast swing and have Vegas and San Diego back to back in a week.
Yeah, but I still kind of feel like overall it depends who you are, and some teams are going to have your Georgias and stuff like that might have some bye weeks now going the rest of the way. They've also got that they've also got that plus of having their last 5 games of the season are all at home. So that's a big plus for them, considering where they are right now. Whereas other teams kind of, maybe they had that luxury earlier in the season, and now it's going to be kind of crunch time.
All right. Let's have a look at some of the highlights and see exactly what went on.
It's worked so far for him getting those shots away.
Simmons with a pair of screens. They will count it. It was a laser beam off the crossbar. It's a good goal. It crossed the line. Colorado has really had a settled offensive set, and there it is right there. Williams from deep. Whips it by Nishimura and through Jamison. First goal for Colorado. His former team. His third year with the Mammoth. Acquired by a trade, and just like that, the equalizer. Didless. Circles, Firth wiggles between two defenders, could not get the shot off, thought he had it. Kurt Snow, put back is true. He always seems to be in the right place at the right time, Ethan Walker.
That Panther City scored in overtime, the last time that this Colorado team played, it was Ward who was right out at the top of the crease to do that same thing. Quick movement there, Brendan. There's a goal. We got a one-goal game. As the ball moves around the perimeter, Dylan Ward's footwork is outstanding. He's shuffling, he's making moves, and we got a tie ball game.
Robinson's first G of the night, an equalizer. Tied at 6. Connor Robinson. Simmons scores on the move. But you take away the McLaughlin power play goals, those have been quells of the enthusiasm, and there's a 5-on-5 G for McLaughlin, a hat trick for him, ties the game at 7. Opportunistic and tenacious following his own shot.
At least another 5-6 seconds off of that power play. Impressive work there in a hard working shift.
And Firth delivers in front. Colorado's defense caught napping, taking pictures of the weapons up top. For Longboat, outlet Paulus. He also has not scored on the left side. Paulus muscling through! Marshall Paulus!
And that was it.
And that Paulus goal was the game winner, so.
Yeah. That it was.
Colorado still, they're getting their scoring. They're probably in the lower half of the league in terms of goals per game. But you got 2 goals out of Zed Williams, 2 and 2. Connor Kelly had 2 and 3. Tyson Gibson had 2 and 1. Eli McLaughlin 3 and 3. Connor Robinson only had 1 goal. I'd say maybe he's a little bit of a concern. He's kind of tailed off a bit this year and just hasn't been able to get going. It's easy to forget that, they nearly had 2 years ago when they won the championship. I think they nearly had 3 40-goal scorers.
Mm-hmm.
They were only a couple of goals away with one guy from having 3 40-goal scorers on the same team. So
and 2 of them were hurt.
I'm not even sure if that's ever been done in NLL history.
Right.
To have a team with 3 40-goal scorers. So
we'll hold off with ripping that team apart until at least some of the home games are over. But I don't think they can wait too long.
No, they got to start stringing some wins together.
No, it's pretty much now or never. So
yeah, definitely. Before we move on, I just want to remind everybody that this part of the show is brought to you by Philly Sports Trips.
All right, guys, if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. Go to phillysportstrips.com. They have self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights from the Philadelphia airport. Packages include direct flights, 4-night stays, all-inclusive tailgate parties, lower-level group tickets. Whatever you want, you got it with phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel to an upcoming Phillies game, make sure you check out Philly Sports Trips. And do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2023 season. Jump on it now, because you do not want to lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com.
Right, and don't forget that there's also Clearwater and things like that for the Philly spring training. all the great Brute League games. So give them a check and see what you can work out with them. Great prices for great trips. And Utica's correct in that. Palace is the hidden gem. And you would know that, Shawn, from his years over in Saskatchewan.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible loss to Saskatchewan for him going there.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where there wasn't enough balls to go around when he was here, unfortunately. So,
all right, so let's move on to our last game that just finished as we were on the air, and that is the Calgary Roughnecks beating the Halifax Thunderbirds 17-11 in a very, very tight defensive struggle. This thing, you could tell Halifax, the wear from a tough game against Buffalo on Friday and then traveling across country and 2 time zones to try and play this. Right off the bat, man, in the first 5 minutes, Halifax didn't look good. It was 2-0 Calgary on goals by Pace and by Cook. And, they didn't look in sort. Cody Jamieson got one back, but again, Robert Hudson in transition was able to make it 3-1. Ryan Benesh, again, youthful Ryan Benesh, converting a Clark Peterson pass, making it 3-2, and then Calgary took over with a 3-goal run. Tanner Cook on the power play made it 4-2. Zach Currier 5-2, and Tyler Pace again made it 6-2 before Graham Hossack was able to get things righted off a Clark Peterson feed, followed by Woods off a Johnny Pearson pass with just 1:21 left in the first, with 6-4 after 1. Warren Hill wasn't looking good.
no,
So much so that he got pulled again through the second quarter. And the beginning of the second quarter was rough for Halifax. 5 of the first 6 goals scored were Roughneck goals, and this game was out of sorts. Thomas Hogarth doing what he does best in the crease, or in front of the crease, to score, making it 7-4. A pair of goals by Jesse King, just beauties. And it was 9-4. Ryan Benesh got one back, but Josh Currier and Tyler Pace added to the Calgary lead, making it 11-5. And we were only about 5 minutes into the second quarter. It was looking like this was going to be a heavy football score by the time this was done. Woods and Terafenko scored for the Thunderbirds to bring it to 11-7. Shane Simpson on a gorgeous picked up the ball at center floor and just outran everybody scoring. Gorgeous transition goal, unassisted. Clark Peterson got the next 2 for Halifax to bring him within 3, but Josh Currier on the power play just before the half made it 13-9. Coming out of the dressing room, Dawson Theed with a pair of goals for Halifax to make it 13-11, and it looked like we were going to have a game. But from that point on, the Calgary defense said nothing. Nothing was getting by us. Jesse King scored on the power play with 3 minutes to go in the third, making it 14-11. They held the Thunderbirds off the board for the entire fourth quarter. Shane Simpson scored, Hayden Dixon scored, and then another power play goal by Josh Currier finished off the scoring. 17-11 was your final. It got rather, shall we say, hostile near the end. Tempers were boiling over left, right, and center. And the refs did a great job to keep this thing under control so that the lid didn't blow off altogether. But, Utica's right. Penalties were just killers.
Yeah.
Calgary's got a lot of weapons. And that transition game and that pinpoint passing from Christian Del Bianco that can catch any team if they're napping for a split second. And it showed again and again and again.
Yeah, because I was the kind of thing that was a bit quiet for Calgary. That transition game hasn't quite been where it has been the past few years, but it showed up tonight. And
it did,
yeah.
To say one thing that I noticed was Zach Currier. I think, first goal of the season.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Owings has been really
So
quiet.
yeah. So that there's part of your explanation for maybe some of Calgary's woes early in the year.
Absolutely. Why don't we take a look at the highlights and see what went on in this thing?
Cy Young numbers for Thomas Hogarth: 8 goals, 1 assist. Shot scores. Tanner Cook, and it takes an extra bump. Takes off the bar. And now running, Robert Hudson. Clear breakaway. Hudson shot scores. Back to Pace. To King. Pace gets a screen. Fakes the shot. One more to Cook. He scores. Save. Got a man up ahead of him. It's Courier. Over the shoulder catch. Has Hudson with him. Courier scores. Bunky off the back. Hogarth, far side, Tyler Pace. Pace time and room, and he stings the far corner. Pace has a pair. Simpson got King out ahead of him. King, pump fake, scores! That's not there. And back to 5 aside as Brock and Cook are out. Here's Benesh, shot, scores. What a goal by Ryan Benesh. The little pump fake got fake change, went right down the middle, was wide open. Pace, shot, score, pick the top corner. Hat trick for Pace. 20 on the shot clock here for Halifax. Benesh, Woods scores. Aaron Woods. Little hidden ball trick. Tarasenko has it, scores. Oh, the hidden ball trick worked. Long bouncing pass. Calgary gonna run onto this one. Breakaway. Simpson all alone. Scores! Jammed it short side corner. 8 on the shot clock. Jameson watched by Ticehurst. Carries high. Step back. Skip pass. One timer. What a goal from a tough angle. How did this find? Good job by Hayden Dixon to stay with him all the way down the floor. Up top, Theed backs his man in. Scoop shot and he scores. Little highlight reel. King and Pace play 1-2. Next pick from Dixon. Pace to King. Shot scores! Bar down from the King. And that is a much needed goal for the Calgary Roughnecks. Go. Simpson on the run. Has it. Scores! And Simpson down. Taylor to King, far side. Dixon, shot, scores! Set play for the Roughnecks. And Hayden Dixon, Chantel Chan, Brad Chowner, Teddy Jenner, TSN Game of the Week, second of our weekend double header. Courier from behind.
Yes, sir. And that was the way it was. Some beautiful thing. That hidden ball trick one was great. It fooled everybody.
Fooled everybody. Even the
Fooled everybody in
cameraman.
the building. It fooled Bianco. It fooled us. It fooled people at home. It fooled everybody. It was done so perfectly. The other one that got my attention was that Clark Peterson one where he was just about behind the goal line. That quick stick.
Yeah.
And just amazing. Just amazing what he can do. But 17-11 for Calgary. And away we went. And that was the week it was. Well, guys, let's look at what's upcoming. Week 13 is a busy week. We start off on Friday night with a pair of games. We have the Riptide going into Colorado. Should we say the pissed off Riptide are going into Colorado? So their first home game is a good one.
Colorado needs a win, and what do they get?
Yeah.
New York
Right.
team. Yeah.
Yeah. I think their third game is Toronto or something. So it's not an easy home stretch for them either. So, anyways, another one to circle on your calendar is Georgia heading into San Diego. I'm curious about this game. The way Georgia played the majority of the game against Rochester last week, they had a week to rest up for this thing. So, I think that this is going to be a barn burner. This is going to be one. Yeah. If you can stay up late on a Friday night because it's an 11 p.m. Eastern game, this is a game you want to watch because I think you're going to see a lot of highlight reel stuff going on. We move into Saturday, and over in Rochester, Las Vegas comes to town. The one that I was talking about earlier is in Toronto, where the Vancouver Warriors are coming in Toronto on Indigenous nights to face the Rock over at First Ontario Centre in Hamilton. Albany is going into Buffalo. This is the second one of those two games. This is going to be another interesting one. Buffalo has to win this. Simple. Buffalo has to win this thing.
Yeah.
And curious to see how Matt Vince looks, because again, with 3 games in a row, he hasn't looked himself. And if they're going to lose focus near the end of the game or in that second half,
especially against Albany,
Albany's going to take him to town.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to take him right to task. Going to be interesting. Halifax heads over to Saskatchewan. Still doesn't get easy for Halifax. All this traveling that they have to do.
No.
And I like Saskatchewan, and
I don't think it's going to be the same game we saw at the game 1 this year. I think it's going to be a lot closer.
No, yeah, the Rush are going to get some revenge too. So,
well, you're looking at the Quinlan Keenan era, and they're 6-0. You said.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen if you can get to Warren Hill early, and the Rush have the weapons to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game, I think. Philadelphia heads into Calgary, and Pat was alluding to this earlier, how good Higgins plays on the road. Well, Dobie Uncle plays pretty good at home. So they're going to have to be on their A game with Resetaritz, Jones, and the rest of the company, Catonis, etc., if they're planning on putting a W on this one. And the last game of the week, Georgia, in their second game of the weekend on the Sunday, head over to Panther City to play the Panther City Lacrosse Club. This will be another good game. Georgia coming off a tough game in San Diego and going over cross country. Remember, Texas isn't around the corner from San Diego, from California. So they're flying across country again through a couple of time zones before they land and play this game in front of come as your favorite empty seat night, most likely.
Yep.
What a shame. This is a great game. They should be marketing the daylights out of this to anywhere in Texas. I would love to see a full arena. By full, I mean at least 2,000 people. I'm not living in fantasy land.
No.
A couple of thousand people would make that arena a home field advantage. Right now, they're playing in MSL territory, where you have 100 people in the crowd. It's scary in there.
I want to make another comment with that arena too, if I can, just from something from last week. Mm-hmm. They had a livestock show the night before, so not only was it empty seat night, but the announcers were even saying that the place reeked.
I can believe it. They've had rodeos in there, all kinds of things.
Yeah,
we've shown pictures on our All Lacrosse page of them trying to convert that into a lacrosse rink after one of these shows, and it's a job to have.
Do you want to sit through a lacrosse game when all you're smelling is manure?
Yeah.
True. It just doesn't bode well, right?
Through all that stuff,
it just doesn't bode well, right? It's just optics aren't good, right? Like
no.
Yeah. No. I just had to go on that tangent because I heard about that last week. I was like, that just not a good look for the league.
Eduardo has been there 3 times, and he's got a better nose than all of us.
Yeah.
You're a good man, Eduardo. You're a good man. But he'll be in Puerto Rico next week, so he won't be anywhere near Panther City. So
no.
Less than 250 people, yes. That's what we're getting at. Come as your favorite empty seat night. It's bring your kids to work day is what it is, really. Just before we wrap up, just a reminder that this part of the show is brought to you by David R. Cherry and Associates.
All right, guys, let's talk about Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you got to call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your rights. Again, That number is 610-565-0300. That's 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right.
Absolutely. Mike's favorite Sumi dog. Just a reminder to everybody that we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Thread, we are on YouTube. Come check us out, especially YouTube. Please tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody on the street to please subscribe. Many more retro games coming up. Lots of stuff to view right now. Our entire library of shows are on there as well. So if there's anything that you want to look up or you want to check into, it is all there for you. Lots of press conferences, lots of interviews. Everything is there. We have our finger on the pulse of the situation. Check our Facebook page out 3, 4, 5 times a day, because the news is always changing and we are up to date with everything that's going on. We spend an awful lot of time making sure that we are getting everything that we can to give you up-to-date stats, up-to-date games, and things that are in areas so that you are able to plan your trips accordingly and get your tickets to the games or be part of these clinics and groups and things like that. So please check us out as often as you can. It's our pleasure, as always, to give you this week in and week out. Before we wrap up, any last words? I'll start with you, Shawn.
No, I was looking forward to next week, obviously, and we're starting to see a few teams maybe ready to hit the panic button, but really not many teams are out of it quite yet.
Utica, thank you very much. It's our pleasure, as always, to give you the best that we can for you. Mike, any last words?
Again, we're technically only halfway through the season with the number of games played, and every week from here on out, except for I think week 18, which only has 4 games, every week from here on out, it's going to have between 7 and 9 games happening. So there's a lot of chance for, like Shawn said, there's plenty of chances for teams like Colorado, and I'll even say Vancouver.
Nobody's out of it just yet.
Yeah.
And as for this Utica, I tell you what, I already have the time booked from work. I have already planned to be there. I am just waiting on credentials from World Lacrosse. So I totally plan on being there for the World Box Lacrosse Championships. I have the Rubeski tournament to go to first, though. I have to make it to Brock. So I will be there in April. And, San Diego in a couple of weeks to catch a couple of Rock games. So it's going to be a busy little swing. We do cover everything, and we do watch all the games, as painstaking as that is. I've been watching PLL games as well as NLL games all through the weekend to make sure that we had everything for you there, and as well as Arena Lacrosse to make sure that we had everything there. So my family, they tend to get on me a little bit about which game I'm watching now. Mind you, they come along for quite a bit, so I got to give them credit on that. So it's a family outing. Mid-season predictions, Eduardo. I like Toronto.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I can tell you that right now, my start of season prediction for the finals is not looking very good. That was Calgary and Philly. So.
Mm-hmm. NLL champion Toronto or Albany. Well, you're half right.
I had to go Toronto. Yeah, the veteran leadership they got going there is just next level.
There's a lot still to happen, and a lot of lacrosse to play, and a lot of travel to be done. Gonna have to see. That's a good pick as well. I really do like the Albany team, and I love Glenn Clark as a coach. I really was a fan before I had a chance to interview him, but I was even more of a fan after, and just getting into his psyche on how to do things. And that was while they were having not a great year, and seeing the positive to everything, and finding the guys here and what to do and how to piece it together. And then when you do have the talent and everybody's back, watching, we always call, Derek Keenan, the mad wizard or the magician. I think that Glenn Clark is actually one of those in that pool of magicians, because he has put together a number of guys from a number of different sources that were maybe not doing what they were supposed to be doing wherever, and have found a really solid team in Albany. And again, one of those dates to circle is April 6th, is when Albany and Toronto face each other. And that's probably going to
could be finals
looking
preview.
for a preview, A, for the preview for the finals, but B, just for jockeying for position, just like it came down to Toronto and Buffalo last year. And Buffalo wound up winning that game. And then with their home field, it just went ape nuts on everybody and took that game and ramped it up with all their guys healthy again. This could be the one that sends which either team racing through the playoffs. So it's very important. In games even where you don't think it matters anymore, these ones are the ones that are the momentums for the playoffs. So
yep, absolutely.
That's my take on it anyways. Again, I want to thank everybody for being with us week in and week out, for participating, because we love all the interaction. Such poignant stuff tonight too, guys. You guys have been terrific. Really fantastic comments and questions. And it's our pleasure to give you this week in and week out. So for Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, for Muffler Mike Kostiuk in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, wishing you the best of weeks. Keep your stick in your hands, and we will see you all again next week, our regular time, Sunday at 9. See you then.